Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to TIGPODS, and we have with us today Akaash Ampili Nair. Nair, right?
No.
Just Ampili Nair. A lot of these Nairs are avoiding that part of the name. That's sort of a different portion of a different podcast. I'm not being dived into that.
Yeah.
Leaving dive into that seems diving deeper instead. Never mind, guys. Cutting straight to the chase. Akaash Ampili has been working in the ad industry for quite a while now. How long, bro? How many years?
14. Yeah.
14 years.
Yeah, it's 14.
Dude, that's an entire school education, like from LKG to 12th standard. You realize that?
Thank you. For me, you feel old.
So you've done an entire high school education in the ad industry. How does that make you feel? Like, how old do you feel?
Thank you for that. I think to start off with, because I started young, and by young I just only mean that my mom's simple rule was I can finish college and I have to have the job the very next day. I should not loiter.
She was one of those campus placement moms and dads. Like.
Yeah, so she was like, get a job and then do whatever you want. Like, you can just enjoy yourself. So what I did was, one of my professors saw that I could write.
Where were you? Which college?
SRM.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So he mentioned that, hey, why not you go into writing? I will give it to an agency. Let's see what they want. And they gave some writings of mine which I wrote some taglines and some captions and all of those things at that point. Photography show. And then they were like, hey, we can take him, but we'll take him on as a trainee and then see what happens. So I started as soon as I finished college, which was like in 2011. Then what happened was, actually before that, also I was doing part-time job as well. So everything put together, it became like I have to kind of do advertising. It was not my plan. Like, my plan was to do filmmaking. But then advertising just happened. So then through advertising, a lot happened. So then I was like, hey, I might as well just stick with advertising and see what happens. And then 14 years happened.
I can totally picture your mom smiling secretively in the corner going, I convinced him out of that stupid film career nonsense and put him in advertising. It's every Indian parent's dream, bro. I swear. If the child tells them that they want to do filmmaking, that's like one. Oh no, we have failed as parents. Because it happened to me too. It's continuing to happen to me too, and it's what I deal with on an everyday basis.
With a lot of Indians, so we keep it that way.
Yeah. But again, I think the converse happened with both of us.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to work in the advertising industry. That's always been my scene, right from 8th grade. I wanted to work in advertising. I've read David Ogilvy's book. I've read like all this. I've read that book. I've read a lot of stuff. And I'm like, oh man, I want to make ads. That's my calling. And then I entered college, and then I went and I worked with my first ever client, which is JWT. And I don't know, I kind of realized that, dude, this entire utopia I had about an ad agency was just shattered. And then I went into filmmaking, which I was like, this is completely, I'm like, nah, I'm not getting into filmmaking and all, man. And then that's where I went. And my parents also didn't let me get into films. They're like, don't. But then that's where I landed up. So it's quite a converse that both our lives had just swapped around.
So the thing about filmmaking was, because of my interest for filmmaking, my advertising career kind of took off quite well, because I still had the interest for filmmaking and I wanted to do it in some form of way. So I saw advertising as that path to make those ads, write them, star in them if I need to.
Have you?
Yeah, I've done like a few of them because, well, I'm the writer, so I can write myself into it. But more than anything else, there was this ad that we had done for this electronics brand, and they just needed someone to like kind of dance and have fun and whatever. So that was the main thing, right? So then I was like, I'm not giving this to anybody else. There is a bunch of people that we have casted, and then there's me. So I might as well put myself into it. So it was that kind of thing. Yeah.
Nice. So like, since you're working in the ad industry, do you regret it right now?
Nope. Not
you love it, right? Like, if given you the chance right now, someone said, hey, you have to quit advertising and I'll give you 10 crores. Go take a film. Do whatever the fuck you want. What would you choose?
I will continue doing advertising.
Whoa.
I will think about it long and hard. So the thing is, advertising essentially has helped me become a whole lot more creative. 100%.
Yeah, you get to do it day in and day out, right?
Correct.
Of course.
Right? So it's an everyday process, and you're enjoying that process almost every second, right? There are times where there's fires, but that's in like every other job. So, and filmmaking even more.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So, but the thing is, the only reason I enjoy it a whole lot more right now is because, let's just say in the current situation I am, right? Like, so I'm the creative director of Ting, and the, the fun that I have over there is the process of creating, while also the culture that I am in, right? So if I have to create a film, I can just go up my founder and just kind of tell him that, see, listen, for this brand, we need to do this. Let's just do this. Let's just pitch it. And the culture is that, hey, we can do it. Let's just go pitch it and see what happens. Right. So I'm not taken away from the fact that I can't do filmmaking. Yes, obviously, as every writer's dream, they want to do a film, they want to do OTT, they want to do a web series. All of that is there, which is there for me as well. But I'm not going to give up advertising for that, at least for now, how I'm looking at it. So
Fair enough. So how is Prasoon Joshi one of the like thought leaders in this space? Is he like one of those guys who's carved his path and like tell everyone, hey, this is possible, guys?
Yes, for him, he's carved a certain path and that's
Like,
awesome. Like as
making ads and
as a
writing
writer,
films,
correct?
right?
So, right. So because he's a brilliant lyricist as well, and like for everything that he's done, a lot of people kind of see him as the epitome of wanting to work in Bollywood and at the same time doing advertising as such, right? So I think that's where a lot of people take that kind of, you know, like that template from. I wouldn't call it template, but that's where they're taking the strides from, right?
Yeah,
Like, so
yeah.
if me being a writer, I want to make sure that I'm writing something that is not advertising, then I will do that in my free time. But at the same time, to keep that creative juices going, I will constantly keep doing it. It's that kind of process. And I don't think anybody in advertising will ever say, hey, I don't want to do anything else creative. There'll always be that kind of bug that, hey, you know, I could write, I could act, I could do this, I could do that. But I don't have to give up on advertising at all. Like, there are people who have left advertising and they've done that because of various reasons, but it's never because I don't get to be creative. It's that.
Okay. Yeah, so when you talk about things like the creative juices, it's this word that's just thrown around so much, right? Like, because everyone's like, yo, I gotta get my creative juices flowing, man. I need to smoke that doobie. Yo, I need to be sitting in this place to get my juices going and all. But then we all talk about it like it's some abstract thing, but I feel like it's not that abstract. Someone like you who does this day in and day out, I'm sure you figured out the pattern on how to get those juices flowing. Like, if you want to start a car, you get in, you put an ignition, it starts. The same way, I'm sure you figured out that one magic formula of like, hey guys, you just do this every day from this to this, this to this, and you get that shit going. It's like a tap.
So the thing is, creative juices are, so there are a lot of people who say, hey, I need to smoke up, or I need to like smoke to get my ideas going and all. I don't think that's coming from the smoking or anything, but it's more to do with the fact that
The ritual.
I'm in a less stressed environment for me to get my ideas going. For example, for someone like me, I don't smoke, and there are a lot of people who be like, how can you get your ideas without smoking? Like, you know, you're standing in the terrace and then suddenly an idea comes. I'm like, I could stand under the shower also and get an idea. Like, it's not about that, right? But when you come to office every day, to then you have a set, you know what you have to create, right? So you have a brief and you know what you have to do. You go on a journey, or at least I go on a journey on exploring what is first there in, let's just say, the internet, to kind of figure out if there is something that I can take from there as an inspiration and then kind of work out of, right? So I keep telling all my colleagues that, listen, the whole creativity or the creative block or like my mindset, I can't think of an idea. All of those things that you're saying that because you are not letting yourself be without the brief. Just go on the internet and see what happens, to then come back to me and then say, hey, I've written these 10 lines and I know I have these 10 ideas. Can we create something together? That's the creative juices that kind of then follow with conversation.
That's a pretty good hack to get past your creative block, right? Just
Yeah.
forget about what you're doing and then just like browse, surf,
Yeah.
and then come back to it after a while.
So I used to have this in Mumbai. My pet name used to be YouTube. Like, that was my pet name. And the only reason was because any of the client servicing people, whenever they came and gave me a brief or anything like that, they always saw me on YouTube. I'm just watching things, right? Like, constantly. So, and then a lot of times it used to be, hey, he's just watching things. When is he getting work done? That does not matter. I will get the work done.
Yeah, man.
Right? But my process is
Watching.
like the visual. I need to see a lot of visual for me to kind of get my creative juices
For sure,
flowing,
for
like, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
So talk to me about Mumbai. Like, what were you doing there? What happened there?
So I was working at Leo Burnett in Leo Burnett Orchard in Mumbai, and at that point of time, I was in Delhi before I moved to Mumbai, and Yeah, and my creative director in Mumbai had called me and said, "Hey, there is this opportunity. Would you like to come?" And I was just like really excited about the opportunity that I had because I had told him at any point of time, if there is something there, please, I'd like to come. Right. So he told me that there's something for at that point of time Dream 11, and we were working for Dream 11, and this was back in 2018.
2018
Right? So
Dream 11 was which ads? This was the
Dimag Se Dhoni. It was the Dimag Se Dhoni had Khelo Dimag Se.
Mm,
It was only Dhoni was the brand ambassador at that point in time. Yeah. So that became a thing where I was brought in from because I had like a digital background as well. And Dream 11 at that point of time was going through a whole host of changes. And we had to create campaigns plus social media, but it was not one of those apps that was readily available. It became readily available post that, right? So we had to do a whole lot of marketing on social media in such a way where we don't get caught. We have to say the right things. We can't use the players' names. The only name we could use was Dhoni's, but nobody else's because he was the only one who was part of it as an ambassador.
Okay.
So all of that was there, right? Now,
also in the app you couldn't use any of the names, rather, like you can't.
so at that point of time, because they were not officially part of the, let's just say they were not the official app. They became the official app after a while, and then they then became market leaders, and then that's how everybody else then came into the market. So Dream 11 then became the market leaders of what they were doing, which was fantasy sports. And then at that point of time, because Dhoni was, let's just say, the visionary that he was, he then became the actually it was the agency's thing saying that, hey, you know what, why don't you get Dhoni as the brand ambassador? And then that's that journey how it started. So when my boss had told me, this is the opportunity, why don't you kind of think about it, I jumped at the opportunity because I wanted films in my portfolio. And that's where I think I did not have too many films at that point in time in my portfolio. So I was like, okay, let me just go. And then Mumbai just happened. And then like it was a crazy, when I joined was the IPL.
Okay.
The IPL was 3 weeks from starting, and it was a roller coaster. It was so much so that I was put in a hotel to stay, and then I had to move out of that, obviously, because I had to find a house, blah, so on and so forth. But I had to stay in the hotel for about 3.5 weeks because the work for the IPL at that point in time was like crazy. And Dream 11 also was doing some like amazing stuff, and that's when we were doing the campaigns and videos and all of those things was happening. So it's so much so that happened that after we finished those initial launch campaign, then my boss was like, hey, you know what? I think you need a week's break. Take that week off. Go find that house. Move into that house, and then so on and so forth. So yeah, so that's how Mumbai was, and like it's a very, like everybody says, Mumbai
It is 26 hours in a 24-hour day, right?
It is. If you like it, you stay. If you don't, then you don't. It's a very, very simple kind of thing. There's no formula to it that I could work a 9 to 5, because I don't think 9 to 5 people also work 9 to 5, right? Like, because that's how it is. It's the advertising in the media space is a whole lot more like the
Talk
night
to me
hours.
about, like, describe your average day in an advertiser's life in Mumbai, man. Like, go about it. Like, from the time you wake up to when you sleep, if you sleep.
Well, okay, that's a good point about the if you sleep it, but it's not to say that it's like slavery. Okay, so it's not that.
That's what we are paid to tell folks in front of camera, guys, but we all know what it is. It's okay. I've had friends bitch to me when drinking Dampily. It's fine.
I will get to the bitching part, don't worry. But the point is that when you're in advertising, you're signing up for this. Yes, it is a bad thing about when people join advertising, you tell them that, hey, this is how life is, take it or leave it. Right? And then there are some selfish people, which at that point of time, I was extremely selfish about the fact that I wanted to do films in my portfolio. I didn't care how that came about. Right? That was my selfish kind of thing. So I think the average day would just be essentially once you get up, you're already kind of on your phone, kind of trying to figure things out. There's already a bunch of, mails and messages that have come. The previous day's work is
You don't
kind of
shut
missing.
it off. Wait until work time starts to open them.
Which is what is work time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Right. So as soon as you open your eyes, it's work time. That's how it is. And it's not even.
Alright.
And I don't think that's a.
It's not something
Mumbai thing. Yeah.
it's-
And it's neither a proud thing to be.
That's
and
what,
which is something that I will talk about. But it's more to do with the fact that at that point of time you're so zoned into what you want to do. So then you're just like So you get up, you see all those messages, and then you try responding to all of them. So your travel time is also the time that you kind of
Catch up
zone out, catch up on like people who are
Or
important
life.
and maybe the new songs that you have to listen to if you're not listening to the traffic, like all of those things, right?
Yeah.
And then becomes as soon as you go into the office, it's like, okay, what do I need to do, right? But obviously, everybody already has a clue of maybe the previous day's work and all of that. But then there's already a bunch of things that have happened from the conversation that you had from the morning to by the time you've reached.
Oh,
then
man.
you're just like, okay, let's get into this. Now, this is again not to say that you can't shut it off. You can, but then by the time you come to office, you are
You have to
royally-
deal with it
yeah,
anyway, man.
Yeah, so you might as well just take it on a little earlier, right? And at least that's how I used to see it. And then by the time I come to office, there's breakfast time, so I don't let anybody disturb me during that time.
No, this I do not. Yeah.
This is my time.
Yeah.
So it's more that, and that's when I sit and watch all the YouTube videos, the new kind of films that have come. I love ads of the world as an internet.
So basically, you're sitting and researching even then.
Well,
Freaking Ampili, why are you like this?
No, so I'll tell you what. So what I do is I watch a lot of movie trailers, right? Like if you open my system, there's always these tabs of like movie trailers that have come, and that's how my YouTube algorithm is, right? So I'm seeing these ads with ads of the world on one side, and I'm seeing movies kind of whatever is releasing on the other side, and that's my time, that's my process. Like I really enjoy doing that, and post that is when the day kind of just like it comes crashing to you. So either you're in the conference hall kind of trying to figure something out with a whole bunch of ideas, or you're sitting in your own system and typing away so that, okay, one thing's done, the next thing's coming, the next thing's done. By the time you know it, it's tea time or lunchtime, right? And then usually lunchtime happens as a work kind of conversation, right? But it's not the heavy kind of conversations. It's usually about, hey, client ne ye bola, client ne wo bola, you know, it's that kind of thing. And then you try and figure out which space you are on. Either I can go for that session, or I'm just gonna zone into my own stuff and kind of do whatever. So that's how that works. And then so there's no night time. There's no night second. There's no second half. Okay, so I'll explain that to you. The second half of the day kind of goes in either making sure you finish the previous day's work or that day's work, and then after that, most of the time what happens is there will be one or two clients who will come and say, "Ki, there's a brief that is coming at 7 o'clock.
I need it by yesterday.
I needed this by yesterday." And it happens a lot, right? Then you're like, okay, if I do this right now, then I'm going to be stuck here for like eternity. Or let me think about this and kind of go home and kind of, do it. But what happens again, if you have a whole bunch of people with you at that point of time, that job kind of becomes a whole lot more simpler. And then you try and all of you all put your heads to it and then figure it out and then go out for a drink. Right? So that's the best way to go about it. And then if it does not get sorted, then you're just fighting through the client and just saying, hey, it's not work. We can't do it right now. We gave it a shot. It's not happening. Let's try this tomorrow. Right? So, but at least that's how average most of the times agencies kind of work. At least those in Bombay. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not to say that if you want it, you can't do it, and that's the kind of life that you're choosing. But it is more to say that a lot of the advertising world is misconstrued as a place that is extremely like, oh my God, it's toxic. There's a lot of, I don't get a work-life balance. All of that is there. It's true, but it's true. But the difference is, if you choose to make that balance, you can definitely make that happen. Right? And most of the time, it can be a situation where this average kind of timeline, that 9 to 5 kind of thing, that's not the job. Advertising never like that. The creative process is never like that. Right? So even if you were to say that I would do this in filmmaking, or for example, we're making this podcast, podcast, right? Whatever has happened over a course of a few days. It's not that you've thought about this from 9 to 5 and post 5 o'clock you have not thought about this.
Today is a national holiday, man.
Exactly. Right? Today is a national holiday. So it's not that you don't do it, but if you're choosing to do it, you might as well do it in that kind of flow, that it's that ebb and flow kind of thing.
Yeah. Nice. So you guys, when you go out to drink, there's no work talk. You guys have that route?
No. There is work talk, but that work talk is more like a bitch session.
Like
it's that kind of thing, right? Like which is not only an advertising thing. At any point of time, any colleagues get together for a party, drinking session, there is a conversation that's going to happen about
that one guy who's not there, or the one guy who everyone wants to be there.
Correct.
So you can fucking finish him.
Yeah. So it's that kind of thing, right? Like, so either you're sitting and talking about colleagues or the entire day that has happened, or you're talking about the work, which is the really good work that has happened, or you're just like, oh my God, I can't get this. What do I need to do? It's that kind of conversation that happens. So it's not even to say that this does not happen anywhere else but advertising. Of course it does. But just about how much you enjoy it, where do you draw the line, all of those things. Like it's just that. Yeah.
But since I'm on this topic, man, like, how much do you think alcohol influences advertising? Like, let's call a fucking spade a spade. I don't want to do this entire Tamil Nadu thing of like alcohol is the bane of our existence. No, in advertising, I know how much it has helped a lot of people either to unwind or get new ideas or socialize or whatever.
Yeah.
So comparing the Mumbai advertising market to the Chennai advertising market in terms of how people even view alcohol. Would you say that there is a difference in the way people look at things?
No, I don't think so. I think the freedom at which you use, like for example, we used to have this thing where on Fridays, every second Friday or like the really good Friday of the week, we used to get like alcohol in the office and everybody's having a beer and kind of working. Right? Now, that's not to say that people are sitting and getting drunk at work. That's obviously not what it is.
Course, yeah.
But it is a little bit more open over there in comparison to like conservative places, right? Like, so it's more to do with the fact that alcohol has for the longest period of time been like, oh my God, if you get into advertising or films, then it's about alcohol and like a drug addict. And like, but if you don't do it, you don't do it. Like it's that kind of thing. But it is also to say that a lot of banter, a lot of ideas have erupted from sessions that include alcohol.
Yeah.
Right? And also, then what happens is truth bombs start coming, right? Like truth bombs of advertising, of our everyday work, of life, and maybe that idea should have been done like this. So maybe Zuzu should not have been done like this. So when conversations like that happen, you're just like, that's the alcohol talking. Tomorrow morning we shall ask the same person what they feel about it, and they'll probably write a case study about Zuzu being the best ad ever. Right? So it's that kind of thing that happens, but it's more to do with the fact that when you are in a creative group and that creative group has like they drink alcohol and they're chilling, that chilling session is where some creative thing happens. If you don't drink, you don't drink, that's okay, but you're still listening into the conversation, you're still contributing to the conversation, all of that is there. But it's more to do with the fact that everybody who is in advertising knows what they are in for. Right? Like it's not a mystery. but yeah, some people have like a misconstrued idea of it, but you can't do anything about it.
It's a part of the culture, man. That's all. There's not much to it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So I'm also, again, I'm coming back to, I'm going to keep bombarding with a lot of questions about the structure, the operations of how you guys come up with ads. Because like I said, I genuinely always have been fascinated by it. And I have been for a very brief stint inside of it, but not a fucking short enough stint even to call myself even an experienced person in the field, right? Because I've been someone who's always been skirting along the sides, but never really inserted into it. No pun intended. But, so when it comes to things like, brainstorming sessions, how does that happen? Do you guys have a format? Do you have like a blueprint of, okay, when we get off, we're going to have an icebreaker, we're going to talk about this, or do you guys just go with the flow? How does it work?
So a brainstorming session essentially is never a blank page, right? And that's basically how. So it's a conversation, but it'll never be a conversation where nobody has already existing ideas in their head, right? Because if, like, for example, if we were to schedule a brainstorming session and then all of us are just having a conversation about the brief and not about the ideas to tackle the brief, then there's no point, right? So what has happened in the past is there are a lot of times where brainstorming sessions are just where people come and have conversations about the brief. Oh, maybe we can do this, but that's not an idea. That's just a like a passing thought just because I've read the brief.
Can you explain that with an example?
Yeah,
I'm not able to
understand. So like for example, if I was to say come up with an idea for this chip, okay? Now when we sit for the brainstorming session, you'll be like, hey, maybe we should take this with potato chips is the best thing that has ever happened to to the humans, right? Now that is the first thought that will come to every single person in that room. That does not help the brainstorming session, right? Or if somebody else was to say, oh, this ad has been done like this, so maybe we should not go the potato chip route. Maybe we should say that it's a healthy chip. Now, that's the second possible thought that you would come up with. Usually a brainstorming session should always be a whole bunch of people come together after they've read the brief with a bunch of ideas. right?
Can you describe a brief? Like
So,
what exactly is a brief?
okay, so when you get the client's requirement, hey, this is my objective, this is my problem, and the problem could be this chip is not selling, this flavor is not good.
Okay.
Right? Flavor is not good, so we've established that being problem. But do we know that there are people who like this flavor? Yes, there is a small niche bunch of people who really like this flavor. Okay, that's a problem. So now, when everybody comes into the brainstorming session, we cannot be talking about the chip. We cannot be talking about how people don't like it, and then there's one set of people who do. Instead, in the brainstorming session, there should be a whole host of people who come up with ideas to tackle this problem. Instead of just saying, I don't have any ideas anymore, let's come back to this conversation maybe a few days later. A brainstorming session is supposed to stimulate everybody's mind to come up with something or the other at that point of time.
Okay.
That's how a brainstorming session should essentially be. Like if we were sitting together to brainstorm on, let's just say, an idea for a script, right? You will have an idea that you've probably had in your head for the longest period of time, and I'll probably throw that out. And then after that, both of us will just be jamming on making that idea better. That's how a brainstorming session should happen, right? And usually that's how advertising agencies kind of tackle the first session of creative when it comes to a brief.
And how do you facilitate this fertile ground for effective brainstorming? Like, what are the pitfalls that you have to avoid? Like some basic things like, don't ever reject an idea. There are some rules so what are some of those?
So, for example, if someone, it's like improv, right? Like, don't say no to the person who's coming to you with like with a dialogue,
with a gift
right?
or something.
With something. If in advertising in itself, when we're sitting together for brainstorming, in a brainstorming session, if someone's coming up with the idea and you have a negative point towards that idea, you can give that. That's not a problem. But you also should come up with a solution as to how you can solve that problem, unless the idea is really bad. Right? If the idea is really bad, then everybody in the room, including the person who's come up with the idea, like let's just say it's me, I have had conversations where I'm saying the idea, and as I'm saying the idea, I'm just like, oh shit, that's really bad. No, reject it. So I there's this thing in the agency that I constantly do, which is like rejected. So I just keep throwing that word around: rejected, approved, rejected, approved.
Okay.
I just constantly do that for banter. Like a lot of people know that when we're sitting together, if I say rejected, I'm rejecting the idea, but I'm also trying to come up with something. So then people have started using that as the opportunity to kind of, if you're dissing an idea, come up with something as well to make that bad idea a better idea. Not necessarily we take that idea, but at least that environment becomes slightly better. So that's one, which is, don't say no to an idea. The other thing is, never come to a brainstorming session without anything. Like that I don't have any contribution, right? So you're sitting in the brainstorming session. There are some times where you don't have the time to do it, and that's okay. But always come to a brainstorming session with something, with some ideas, because you never know, somebody might be able to come up with something better
based on what you have.
Idea, right? So it's not to say that your idea is bad. It is just to say that at some point of time, your idea might be a spark for somebody else's idea. So then it becomes that creative process of, then everybody jumps on the ship and they're like, oh shit, we should do this. Oh shit, we should do that. It's that kind of thing that happens in the brainstorm. And then I think the other thing is also for a brainstorming session to be successful. So the final point of brainstorming is the fact that you have to come with research, right? And by research, I only mean that after you get a brief, after you know what we are going to have a conversation about, I would encourage a lot of people to just go on the internet again and see what has happened in that same space. It's not necessary that you have to come with like live case studies and like a whole host of PDFs and this thing. But at least in that space, like for example, we were talking about the chip, you should know that there are some chip ads that have gone in this direction. So maybe if somebody brings up that idea, it's easy for you to counter, right? So that research is very, very important. And that research helps the brainstorming session to go a whole lot more easier and smoother, because during the session, if a whole bunch of people are showing you different types of ads that have happened in that space, you know where to go and where not to go.
Oh, so you guys also display the ads in the brainstorming session? Okay.
Okay. So we'll in the conference room, we'll have a TV. If someone says, hey, I have this idea and I got inspired from this, and then you show that ad, maybe somebody else gets an idea from that, right? So it helps to then do your research on what has happened on that in that category, and then come about that brainstorming session. So then it just becomes a whole lot more chattier, and like an easier, again, creative juices flow a whole lot easier.
All right. Nice. So I guess top 3 rules of brainstorming could be: First one was, come prepared. No, wait, that was the second one, come prepared.
Yeah.
First one is never reject any idea. And
Correct.
third one was
come research. Know your research.
know the competition rather. Know what
your
is happening.
category, yeah.
Nice. That's actually pretty cool. That's something that people can pick up as well.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about the team, like what is an average size of a brainstorming room? Like how many people would be in it, and what are the job roles that are in it?
So-
and I'm gonna go to the structure of an ad agency.
Yeah, I think so. In a brainstorming session, that it kind of involves, you will have your servicing people who know the brief and gotten the brief from the client and so on and so forth. Then you'll have the copywriters who will have, like, if there are other copywriters who are free, they'll also just join the brainstorming session and let's just chit chat and see what happens. We have then the design team so that they can give their inputs on a particular idea, or they have their own ideas that they'll also like to pitch. And sometimes we have the video and the editing team who sit with us if it is a film project or so on and so forth. But usually what happens is a brainstorming session can just be a bunch of people, like 3-4 people who are huddling to kind of figure out just the first steps of what needs to be done in a particular brief. Right? That's how it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like what is the structure of a typical agency?
So from a creative standpoint, there are different teams, which is the copywriting team, then there's the design team, then there's the animation, the editing, and these people essentially are the most important people from a creative standpoint, right? So these are the verticals over there. And then the servicing team with people who handle the clients, and then they have their own kind of designations and their job and their responsibilities when it comes to what they need to do, how they need to service the client, billing and so on and so forth. That is there. Then we have a growth team as well that does the new business development. So that is there as well. We then have a performance team who handles all the Google ads and anything related to performance or digital ads that we need to do. We have the performance team. Then we have a web team as well. So they handle the entire, anything to do with
Social media?
with websites. And
websites, okay.
Websites and the architecture for it, kind of coding for it, all of that. We have that as well. So essentially the structure of an advertising team can be as small as one person with a laptop doing everything, or it could be as big as like I'd mentioned, you have multiple roles, multiple people doing multiple things. Obviously then there's HR and then there's other people in the team who are important as well, but the structure of an advertising agency kind of comes from these core roles, which is the creative, the servicing, and the business development. Like that's the core kind of
Business
roles.
Development, you mean sales?
Yeah, new
Okay.
business development. Yeah,
Okay,
so sales.
okay.
Yeah, so hey, we can do this. Do you want to partner with us? Like that. Kind of
Interesting. That was very nice, man. Where we spoke about like how an agency functions and how a
Yeah.
brainstorming session functions.
Yeah.
But I also briefly remember you talking about how you directed Ranbir Kapoor in an ad.
Yeah.
So maybe let's just skirt over that story, how
Yeah.
it happened and how it was directing him.
It was so the experience was, so we did this for Mumbai City FC, and because we have a sports vertical as well in at Ting, and MCFC. What we did was they had come to us saying that they have a new logo, and they want to reveal it to the world as, hey, this is our new identity, and they have been taken over by the CFG group, so that the City Football Group. So what has happened is they have changed their identity right now. So for that, we had to come up with an idea with the film and all of those things. So the client came to us with this, and we were like, okay, fine. And considering the fact that Ranbir Kapoor is also a
The
co-founder,
owner, yeah.
the owner, well, we were like, hey, we hope that there's that opportunity to kind of, shoot it with him and so on. So we had to come up with a concept that essentially links the film to the logo, which is a logo reveal. And then after that, we have to see how we can integrate the story around Mumbai and Ranbir and so on and so forth. So to right off the gate, I think Ranbir is an absolute chill guy, right? A lot of people have already told me about that when they have had their experiences. And this was my first experience meeting him in itself. I think as soon as he came into the room, he was just like, so in the set that it was like, hey, this is what we are doing. Who's the director? So then I stepped forward, shook my hands, I'll be directing you, so on and so forth. And then we went into a green kind of matte situation, and then we kind of shot the entire thing, took him through the process. He's a person who probably like I'd say he's a director's actor, right? So in this one, obviously there was not a lot of acting for him to do because we had 3 hours with him and we had to shoot this film plus all the content we needed from him for the entire year in itself. So we had to shoot all of those things, and it was a lot of work, a lot of conversations that was happening. So I think in that sense, he's a really, really nice guy to kind of work with. and then the client team was also, they trusted us with the fact that we will be able to handle it. Right, so it was a complete Ting production in itself that had happened. Working with him, then we were sitting and talking about, like, he asked me about my interest about films. He's like, how did you get into direction? So we spoke about that. We spoke about advertising. Then he spoke about his interest in like films and like life, and like, you know, it was a very casual conversation that had happened, and there was no air about it. And once it got over, we all took like pictures, and then the shoot got over and we left, you know. So it was a very let's just say, and I have worked with celebrities before, and which is something that I'm really happy about. I've gotten the opportunity to, and with that opportunity, this is another one, because I never thought I'll meet him, and when I did meet him, it was something that was very easy, very nice,
Casual
and chill.
as well,
It was. I got a lot of death threats from my fellow colleagues in the office who hated the fact that I went and met him, but that was just that's when I knew that, oh, I've done something. I've done something. but yeah, it was fun, and it was a nice experience. So overall, the film came out well. Everybody was happy. You know, working with him, you realize that, hey, like I was saying, right, the whole love for filmmaking kind of comes into play over here. And then you're just like, hey, if I was a director, how would I do this? How would I do that? Obviously, it's not a big production. It's not Sanjay Leela Bhansali. Like, you know, it's none of those things. But it's something that you kind of take off your checklist, that, hey, I've directed. I know what's happening. I know these small things, and that's the film background that kind of helped me direct as well. So,
Nice. So that's films in Bollywood, and I'm pretty sure you worked on Collywood films as well. Have you? Like, what's the latest one you guys worked on?
So the last one we did is Jailer.
Whoa.
Ooh, yeah. So we are actually, I can't even say the last one we've done, because it's going on.
Doing
right,
it's
right
happening
now.
right now.
And I have another creative director as well who's part of our team and who's working on it extensively with the team as well. And it's the process of working for films like this, which is of this magnitude, is crazy, right? And the one thing that we're really proud of is in multiple parts we get to do lyric videos as well, and then the social media ideas, and then marketing campaigns, and these interviews, and like, you know, reels, and like there's so many things that we do for obviously the movie to kind of market really well. And at any point of time when we get this brief, the excitement is always on a high, like you know. So like another example of that is
it on par with getting like a brand brief, or is it because it's Rajnikant it's even more?
Well, so it's obviously it's the love of that. There are so many people who are fans of him that you're just like, oh my god, you know, we're doing that film. But when you're in the process of creating it, you don't realize the magnitude of it. And then suddenly when you see your work, and when you're constantly kind of working through it, you're just like, okay, this is something epic that's gonna happen. Like we had recently done the lyric video for Jujubi, right? And that lyric video by the team was outstanding. Like, a lot of people had worked on it, and we'd gotten like great comments on it, and so on and so forth. And when we constantly keep like delivering works, because before this, and then we had done Tiruchitrambalam, and then before that we had done Beast as well, right? So we had actually we'd gotten an award for the India's most viral video for one of the Beast videos that we had created.
Oh yeah, that
sound editing
thing, right?
That sound editing thing
that
we had done. So when we had done all of these things, we're obviously doing it because we're like really big fans of the entire thing of movie marketing and what can we do new and all of those things. And it comes with a certain pride that, hey, we've done this job. It's really exciting. Obviously, it can get difficult sometimes, but that difficulty kind of, challenges us to see, okay, we have done this for this movie. What can we do new for another movie? And it constantly keeps us thinking about what can be done. So yeah, like movie marketing is a space that obviously with the love for films that you have, anybody who loves movies would like to know how movies get marketed. And that process is not different from a brand, so much so that it's the star power over here and it's the product power here. Like it's just that thing. And when you're doing movie marketing, then you're focused on actually
quick short-term returns.
It's those, because the span of it is just that 1 month, right? Like that 1 month before the movie, everything happens.
That's
and then
it. You're not bothered about like 5-year return on interest.
Yes,
nothing.
It's not that. But the fun that you have with movie marketing actually, and because we have a media wing in itself, right? So and when you have that, then it's just that there are a lot of people who love movies and like for example, Vaidya, who's our other creative director as well, he then essentially then becomes that we work together to kind of figure out, okay, shit, this is working, this is not working, and then constantly seeing things on social media to see what works. Everything about movie marketing is like a whole lot more fun. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you guys, I mean, I'm going to get little like, political within the organization. When the creative director from Ting Brands goes to Ting Films, is there a
Clash.
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 That's the question for it.
So the funniest thing is, before the creative director from the media joined, I was pretty much handling this with the entirety of with my team, right? Obviously we have like structure to who handles what and what needs to be done and how it goes, but I was handling that. So, and because my interest in films and filmmaking and all of those things, I love movies, and marketing for me for that comes with a certain sense of excitement that you're doing. There is no clash, because Vaidya and I go way back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we go way back, so that there's no way of that clash happening. But if it comes to work, then we know where we both stand when it comes to the kind of work that we're doing. So he knows what he's heading versus I know what I'm heading, and both of us have a very good working relationship. So then there's no issue of that. And if at all there is to be one, I think a conversation will just kind of sort that out. Hey, I should not have done this. I should not have done, and we're done. Like, I don't think that because both of us have known each other for the longest period of time, it helps. Like if there was another somebody else, then maybe there could have been toes that you're stepping on, and you never know like whose toes you'll be stepping on. But again, I mean, if I have a problem with someone and we're having a conversation about it, and the creative process can sometimes get
bogged down because of this, right?
Correct, right? Like, because there are a lot of people like, how can you, like, that was my idea, right? Like that conversation kind of sometimes comes up in a creative process where, hey, if Jaytesh has given me a line and I'm just like, okay, I've taken that line and I've exploded,
added one line to it.
Whose idea is that?
Yeah,
right? Like,
I was going to ask you too.
Yes.
In a brainstorming session, whose idea is it finally when it comes out?
I learned this very, very, and it was a great thing that I learned when I'd studied in Edinburgh and did my master's in Edinburgh for advertising, right? And the professors over there were like, they were amazing people, but when their knowledge for advertising was outstanding, right? The lady professor, her name was Susie, and she essentially used to be a copywriter in movies first, right? Because when she was giving her explanation to us, she said, oh yeah, me and Rid go way back. Now, for a person like me, I was like, who? Like, all of us were like, who's Rid? And then she shows us Ridley Scott.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's done the movie marketing for Ridley Scott films.
Okay.
Right? So you're just like, whoa. Like, okay. Like, Rid. Like, that's how we heard it. Like, I was just like, okay. So anyway, back to the point, which is, she had given this advice about the fact that at any point of time, any idea is always a we. There is no me. If an idea is me, then that has to be from point A to point B, only you. If anybody has come and changed that thought in some form of way, then it's a we. So in an agency, that's essentially how it works, right? Like, yes, you will get individual awards for the kind of work and contribution that you do. Yes. But if an idea goes out, you will never have only your name go out. You will have your name, then you will have the creative, the design team's name, the animation, the editors, this, and everybody has contributed to make that idea come to life. So even from a brainstorming session, yes, the root of the idea has come from you, right? But the idea could have been made better by me. But it's our idea and it's never your idea. So I think, and that's something that we make sure that everybody is part of, which is, it's never about that one person. It's about that group.
Fair enough. Yeah, the hive mentality makes sense. Yeah. All right. So before I wrap up the ad industry side of things, I do have to talk about this one particular rivalry that I do see that's going to erupt soon. How do you guys feel about Foxymoron? Like, come on. The structure that you just explained, I'm just like, I've heard this before. I know the exact same three things that he's mentioned exactly in another place before. And it's called Foxymoron, guys. So how does it work?
Well, we are of the same, obviously we're cut from the same cloth.
Abdiya?
Right?
Oh, the heads are like from the same place?
No,
Oh,
but
okay. No.
advertising is our
Like,
baby. Like,
okay, okay.
that
Like that,
kind
okay.
of thing. But it's more to say that I think the way they do work versus the way we do work is very different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more to do with the fact that our culture versus I've never worked at Foxymoron, so I don't know their culture. But my experience in advertising in itself, I go to a place that has great culture, and for a fact that I'm here right now at Ting and I'm going to complete 2 years is the fact that it has great culture and great work environment for me to kind of do the things that I like, and for the brands that we cannot do, right? So it'll always be, every agency will have a certain structure, but until unless you're in that structure, you will never know what experience you're gonna get.
Fair enough. He gave a very politically right, safe answer for that, guys. Honestly, he's not going to give me anything else, so I'm just going to move on from that. It's fine. So, Ambili, I mean, you spoken a lot about, advertising, but we haven't really heard a lot about you. We heard, I heard, and I know that you do things outside of your day job, which is making music, which is doing plays, which is how we met, by the way, guys. We acted in a play together. And so if you could talk to us a little bit of how the things you do and how that affects your career, if it does.
Yeah, it does. So like you said, I really love theater, or I really love acting as much as also because of the fact that I wanted to do film. I thought that I will get into acting at some point of time and then do a direction, and then that's the way I was going to go. But then theater was like another outlet. So then I decided, hey, let me act for a bit. So acting was something that I really do enjoy. At one point, I also used to do voiceovers for Nickelodeon, which was something that I really enjoyed, which is, like for cartoons that you're giving your voice, which is something that I really enjoyed as well. COVID, I got into writing songs, and then I started writing songs because I really enjoyed that process. And then I've actually made a song, and I'd written one about my mother. So that was something that I had done as well. My creative outside of agency life will always be there because I love making music as well. And I've done some stuff on GarageBand that just makes me feel like, hey, you know what, Aakash, you're fine. You can just do this and enjoy it as much as you want. And there was a point where I was getting creatively frustrated by the fact that I was not getting to do anything else but advertising. So one night I just came back from work and I just opened GarageBand and I just started making music, and I sat and made music for just till 4 o'clock in the morning and just put that up on YouTube. That's it. There was no reason why I did that. I just wanted an outlet, right? So I did that. So there are multiple things that I like to do from a creative standpoint, like this, right? Like us having a conversation, doing a podcast together. It's just fun. And it's that process that I really enjoy that allows me to also then be creative at work, right? So from acting to direction to I like doing photography, and I think that's also an innate thing when you're trying to find your creative space. You explore everything that you can do, and I think then that's the process that you just kind of continue doing even if you're a creative director of an agency. So yeah, that's
wow. And you do have a personal life despite working in an ad agency.
I do.
You do? Wow. Nice. Nice, bro.
I have figured out that balance.
Okay.
so yeah. So I'm getting married in December, which is
Whoa.
yeah.
Woo,
So
guys.
I'm
Alright.
very excited about that. And
Love marriage, arranged marriage, sir.
love marriage, sir.
Love marriage,
love
sir.
marriage, and she's into advertising as well.
Oh.
The
You guys met
fact
at Leo
that-
Burnett, didn't you all?
I can't comment on that.
Of course they did. Okay, cool.
but the fact that she's into advertising also helps our personal life.
Yeah,
in,
it's like two
all
doctors
our-
getting married. It's like,
Yeah.
I get it. It's fine. Yeah, man. That
Yeah,
makes
so,
sense.
so our life, we talk a lot about work, but we also make sure that we have that
Yeah,
work-life
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
balance. So, yeah.
Nice. Okay, that's interesting though. Like I know how doctors would go, but like two people in an ad agency, I know it's happened in the past, but I've just never met somebody in that space. So what kind of the conversation overlaps that you guys go over? Is it like 70% brands, 30% life, or is it like let's not?
So us talking to each other about our everyday life helps a
Is-
lot, right? Like, okay, this happened at your side, this happened at my side. Is there anything that we need to solve? Not so much. Yes, I can help you, can't help you. That's how that goes. And then after that, we talk about normal life, because our everyday life is something that we can talk to each other because both of us will understand, which makes it a whole lot more easier. And then after that, you're just like, oh yeah, you know what? Then these are the other things that have happened in my life. I'm doing movies. I'm doing a podcast today, and then I'm going for dinner, blah, blah, blah. So it then seamlessly, hey, what did you do in your day? Kind of just happened. So yeah.
Huh. That's how this
Yeah.
goes by.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've always been very curious about what is it that couples talk about? And
Yeah.
that's why I don't bother. I just go straight at my friend. I'm like, so tell me, what do you guys talk about? Give it to me.
Yeah, so
I need to know.
it makes it a whole lot more easier because obviously you're from the same industry, you
Yeah.
understand, and she's from the client side, so she's a client servicing, and
Ah,
I'm creative. So
you
know,
guys
it's
must
like-
hate each other, bro. Like, okay.
we make sure that we don't step on each other's professional toes.
Fair,
So, yeah,
fair. That
yeah,
must be
yeah.
hard, but
Yeah.
glad
But
for you,
it's
bro.
fun. It is a whole lot fun. So yeah. Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Good stuff. Sweet, bro. I think we have hit to the 60-minute point. My producer is looking at me going like, yeah, okay, it's going to wrap it up at some point or not.
Sorry.
But I do got to say, I had like a lot of fun recording this because to be honest, right, sometimes in podcasts, I'll have to like really egg the person on to talk like, yeah, so you're just like, Arey, you give me A, no, that's enough. I'll go on. And it's really good content too, bro. Like, it's not some shit that I don't want to listen to. It is stuff that is really lifting the blanket above the agency. It's like
Yeah.
getting an x-ray into what happens behind the doors of an ad agency. So throughout this podcast, I think anyone who's listening would have learned about how he should like even function in an agency. What is his daily job roles? How life would be in an agency, what to expect and not, how briefs go through, how a brainstorming session works, what is the structure of an agency,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
film marketing works in a specialized scenario, and of course like how a personal life would not exist in an agency if you choose to.
We have
go there.
friends. We are not alone. Do not worry if you join an agency.
Do you guys have like agency anonymous support groups where you guys come together and go like?
I will talk to you about this
Ah,
later.
okay.
In the next episode.
Nice, bro. So I mean, just as closing notes, if you had to pick top 3 without having any subject clauses, top 3 brands that you worked with. 3, 2, 1.
Vadilal, Dream11, and Audi.
Oh, Vadilal, Dream11, and Audi. Audi never came in an entire conversation, and
Yeah.
Vadilal I know, but then Audi was the number one, so I'm asking about Audi.
Yeah, because that was my my first ever hoarding as a copywriter.
This was the one you were telling me about when you were in Hyderabad, and you're like, "Hey,
Yes,
I made
yeah,
that."
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that was
Okay.
my first ever hoarding, and when I saw my lines for Audi India, I lost the plot. Like it was.
What were the lines? I'm
yeah,
sure you
it's,
remember.
progress into luxury. Like,
Progress into luxury.
That's gonna be my line when I get my Audi car at some point. I hope. But, yeah.
3 words, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, just talk to me a little bit about it. How did that idea come in? How did it, like, reach that billboard?
So the thing was, at that point in time, Audi India was trying to figure out what their line was going to be, right? And we, being the agency, I was like, oh my God, I need to solve this problem, right? Like, I don't know how an Audi person thinks. Like, can somebody help me with this? And then I went on their website to try and read and understand like what it would be. And then I think I wrote 10 lines before I got to this line, and we presented 4 to them, and then they chose this line. And once I knew that was going to be the line that we're going to be doing, and then that went up on a hoarding, I just like it was that moment for me where I was just like, if I've done anything and if I never buy an Audi car, I know that because of me, people have bought an Audi car.
People have progressed into luxury,
because
man.
of me, right? Like so,
Nice.
it was
Nice.
that. Yeah, okay, another client that I really enjoyed working for, and I should say this is Google. Because
What?
Yeah. So
Ooh.
we launched Google Wi-Fi that was there, the rail Wi-Fi that was when we had launched it when I was working in Mumbai at that point. And I enjoyed that bit a lot. Like it was, I mean, them as clients were a whole lot more fun. And then at that point of time when we were working on it, it was like something that was new and everybody was excited. And then we did some crazy ideas. And because we were working in US time, it was one thing that, okay, so we have to come up with stuff. They'll give us feedback. We'll be sleeping and, all of those things.
Yeah.
The process was
Konjam
fun.
tiresome,
Yeah,
but,
but the work that came out was good. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yo, that's exciting, bro. Like, so also because you mentioned the client thing, this is another very important input that I want to be giving the audience too.
Yeah.
So when you are working with a client, what is more important? Presenting an idea that the client will accept or presenting an idea that will work for the brand?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's konjam.
Yeah. Okay. So I think how you would structure that presentation is you have a presentation that has ideas that you as an agency want to work on because you believe that this creativity will solve the problem, right? And then there are ideas that you know for a fact 100% will work with the client. So then they don't have to think about it way too much, right? So it's more to do with the fact that understanding where the client is at that point of time and providing them solutions that essentially give them that hey, we have reached this objective with this idea. But you as an agency cannot be safe, right? And which is a good thing, because you as a creative team will always keep pushing for more and doing better and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a presentation should always have the crazy, whacked out kind of mad ideas, and as well the
Executable.
safer, the executable, the ideas. And depending in which space they are in, you never know. The crazy ideas might just get executed as well. So you cannot not think in that direction. So I think you have to give both.
Both.
Yeah.
Fair enough, I guess. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, bro. I think we have hit, and I do feel like we generally should be doing like a part 2 of this, because as I'm talking, I'm getting more questions. I'm getting more like case studies I want to talk about, and but like I said, I think we'll keep that for a separate session. Maybe we'll just have a workshop where we can like even call people over and like
that
go
should be
online
fun.
and stuff.
Yeah,
That should be a lot more fun.
Yeah.
But thanks for doing this, bro.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much, man.
coming down and
you.
like sharing so much about the ad world.
Yeah,
And genuinely letting me also, live my fantasy out of the ad agency. I will be honest, I did feel a little FOMO when you're talking about all this. I'm just like, maybe I do miss this. Maybe I should have just gone on this. I could like picture myself in every scenario going, I know this. I could have given that.
That looks like my idea.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just like, it feels like one of those, China video kind of scenarios. It's like, it's right there. Then I walked out of it like an idiot. But it's okay. It's okay. All happens for a reason, I guess.
Everything happens for a reason. He's
that's
doing a
about
great
it.
job. So we can't say anything about that, because he's doing a great job, guys.
Guys.
So
Sure. Of course, yeah. Thanks,
I'm not paid
guys.
to say that, so don't worry.
Yeah. I'm also getting paid, guys. By the way, you didn't know that. So that was Ampili, guys. That was Ampili on the podcast. I hope that he also had a good
I did.
experience.
I had a
going
lot
through
of fun, and I'm glad that we could collaborate to do this.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that at some point our paths cross, as we're going to be making sure that you get into advertising in some form or
it. Yeah,
way.
for sure, bro.
Or
for
we
sure.
do part 2 of this and people enjoy this, and then we just take this forward as a marketing.
Yeah.
Like a marketing episode. So yeah.
For sure, bro.
Yeah.
I think the paths will definitely cross, especially in a place like Chennai. You
Yeah,
can't help it.
will.
That's how it is.
It will.
Thanks. Thank you. I'm going to sign off. This is Jaytesh, and I hope you guys had a good time on the podcast today. Please share this episode with any of your friends, whoever think that they should be getting onto the creative side, whoever feel like they need to be in an agency and they have no idea. If there is that one person who feels like they are working too much in life, show them this episode and be like, hey, shut up here, listen to this. If you feel like there is somebody who is like, hey, what are these agency people doing, only sitting and getting drunk all day, then show them this episode so that they know what actually happens behind the scene, which does involve getting drunk, but also involves
ideas,
a
also
lot of
creativity.
stuff too. So please drop your comments below, share this with people, and spread the love, guys. Thanks for tuning in to TIGPODS. I will see you all around.